What happens when a god's heart breaks? Shiva was the greatest of all gods, yet he lost the one person he loved the most. Join me as I dive into the captivating tale of Shiva and Sati and see if I can uncover the hidden truths behind their forbidden love story. A long time ago, in a grand palace filled with golden pillars and shimmering lamps, lived Princess Sati, a kind-hearted and brave young woman. She was no ordinary princess. Her heart was filled with devotion and love for Lord Shiva, the mighty god who lived in the snowy mountains. But there was a problem. Her father, King Daksha, did not approve of Shiva. Even though her father disapproved, Sati had already made her choice. She knew Shiva was wise, kind, and strong. She couldn't imagine a life without him. So she married him, leaving behind the luxurious palace to live with her beloved in the mountains of Kailash. Her love for Shiva was greater than any throne or kingdom. One day, the grand palace was filled with excitement. King Daksha stood tall in his royal court, surrounded by minstrels and sages. He had decided to host the most magnificent yajna ever seen, a festival of fire and sacred rituals to honor the divine. But there was one name missing from the invitations: Lord Shiva, deliberately left out to humiliate him before all the gods. Far away in Mount Kailash, Sati learned about the yajna, her heart filled with hope and longing. Maybe this was her chance to mend things with her father. She believed in love and family, and despite Shiva's warnings, she wanted to go. Shiva, wise and calm, looked at her with concern. Sati, he does not want me there. He only wishes to insult us, he warned. But Sati, determined, thought perhaps her father would change his heart once she arrived. Sati stepped into the magnificent court, where the sacred fire blazed high, and ministers and sages had gathered. She had traveled far, hoping that her father, King Daksha, would welcome her with kindness. But as she entered, no warmth, no joy filled the air, only cold stares and whispers. Daksha stood tall, his face hard with disapproval. Instead of welcoming Sati, he looked at her with contempt. He mocked Shiva, calling him unworthy, wild, and undeserving of a place among the gods. Sati felt each word like a dagger, not just an insult to her husband, but an insult to her very soul. Tears welled in Sati's eyes. Her love, her devotion, her choice, everything was mocked. She looked around, hoping someone would defend Shiva, but the silence was deafening. She felt unbearable sorrow, a deep pain that consumed her. In that moment, she made a final decision. Without hesitation, she stepped toward the sacred fire. With one final, sorrowful glance at her father, Sati stepped into the fire, embracing its warmth. The flames rose high, wrapping around her as her soul merged into divine energy. The ministers watched in stunned silence, their hearts heavy. A tragedy had unfolded before their eyes. In the icy solitude of Mount Kailash, Shiva sat deep in meditation. But suddenly, a divine tremor passed through the universe. Shiva opened his eyes, sensing an unbearable loss. He reached out with his cosmic vision and saw the truth. Sati was gone. She had embraced the flames, and her soul had left the mortal world. A silence fell over Kailash. Then came rage, then grief, then a sorrow so vast that even the mountains trembled. With trembling hands, Shiva picked up Sati's lifeless form, pressing her close to his chest. He looked down at her peaceful face. The fire had taken her, but it could not take her divine beauty. His heart ached with a grief so deep that even the gods watched in silence. Shiva rose, carrying Sati in his arms. He did not speak. He did not look at anyone. He simply walked, wandering across the universe with no destination, only grief. As he walked, the cosmos trembled. His sorrow was so powerful that mountains cracked. Rivers overflowed, and storms raged across the skies. The gods became fearful. If Shiva continued grieving like this, the world itself could fall apart. They gathered in the divine assembly, seeking a solution before creation was undone. Lord Vishnu, the preserver of the universe, knew that Shiva's grief had to be eased or existence itself would collapse. He called upon his most powerful weapon, the Sudarshan Chakra, to intervene gently without hurting Shiva's beloved Sati. With a wave of his divine hand, the chakra spun into motion, radiating golden energy, moving toward Shiva with cosmic precision. The chakra moved swiftly, touching Sati's body with divine grace. Piece by piece, her form gently separated, each fragment falling to different corners of the land. Wherever her sacred body landed, the ground pulsed with power and a temple emerged, marking the presence of goddess Sati forever. From that moment, the places where Sati's presence remained became the Shakti Peethas, sites of divine energy and devotion. Each temple held a part of her essence, and at every shrine, Shiva stood in his fierce form, Bhairava, guarding her eternal presence. The universe had been saved, but the story of Sati and Shiva would live on forever. Though Sati's physical form was gone, her essence remained, bound forever to these sacred sites. People believed that each temple held a part of her energy, a place where she could still be worshipped, felt, and honored. The world had lost her mortal form, but it had gained eternal sanctuaries filled with her divine presence. From that day on, the Shakti Peethas became places of healing, devotion, and spiritual enlightenment. It was believed that those who visited these sacred temples would be blessed with strength, wisdom, and peace. As generations passed, a question arose. How many Shakti Peethas truly exist? Different ancient texts spoke of different numbers. Some claimed 51, others 64, and some declared there were 108. Each site carried a piece of Sati's essence, but the exact count remained a mystical. Regardless of the number, one truth remained. Sati's divine presence was scattered across many lands. These temples were not bound by one kingdom or country. Her essence had touched India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, and even lands beyond. At every Shakti Peeth, devotees believed they were standing in the presence of the goddess herself, receiving blessings, protection, and spiritual strength. What did we learn from this? When love is lost, even gods tremble. Shiva does not weep. He does something far more terrifying. He carries her, and the weight of sorrow becomes the weight of the world. But love, true love, never fades. It bends, it breaks, but it always finds its way back. Challenges may break what we once knew, but they also build something new. Shiva and Shakti's reunion is not just theirs, it belongs to the universe itself. Strength never leaves us. It lingers, like the winds carrying whispers of devotion, like the Shakti Peethas standing eternal, reminding us that love transcends lifetimes. And so, the love of Shiva and Shakti stands eternal, not just in temples, not just in sacred texts, but in the very essence of the universe itself. Their journey reminds us that love transforms, loss rebuilds, and devotion transcends time. What do you think? Did Shiva's grief make their love even stronger? Or was it destiny that ensured their reunion? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story intrigued you, don't forget to explore more mythical tales in my other videos. There's so much more to uncover.